share the woes that I feel, or I assume others feel. And I've also done a bit of research, so you'll see the references at the end. Woes of new migrants facing the challenges in teaching online. Okay. Now, okay, migrant is interesting term because this is a very modern phenomenon. I mean, they used to migrate earlier, but they used to migrate for settling somewhere. Usually the community used to move. But now, people migrate for comfort and things and for other reasons. But this time, the migration I'm talking about is not a physical migration from this country to another country, or hill to Terai, or one state to another. It is more of, the psychological migration. We have moved from somewhere to somewhere. So where have we moved? I think yes. So you can see this, teachers have been teaching in the class like this. I mean, this is a regular class. Not many schools in Nepal may have at least this kind of facility, and some others may have better facility, but this could be one average class, I should say. So you can see this teacher is teaching, and she's written something on the board, and students are looking or thinking, and she's also thinking, and maybe she will wipe it out, she will write something else, or she will try to improvise her lesson, so this is how the sociology of the classroom goes. And if someone wants to go out for using toilets, he will allow him or her, or will ask them to postpone it. Depends upon the rule or the practice in this school. Maybe somebody will have a birthday celebration, so they will enjoy their, so this is what happens in the usual classroom in a school. In college level, maybe a little bit different, but it's still the physical proximity will be there. And then in lower grades, let's say grade 1 or even lower, so there will be even more, this caressing, and then, patting children, and then talking to them, and then maybe helping them to eat their food and the snacks. So this is what happens. But now, you can see we have moved from this classroom to this classroom, without actually moving from our home, without actually leaving our family or living with the family. So we have moved here. I mean, there are so many different kind of icons here that indicate what we can use, what people have been using, all this. And then there is so much variety that now even online teaching term seems to be elusive, because we could perhaps say remote teaching remotely, because you may not use a laptop or anything, but simply you can help them over the phone or text message, all this, or using television to teach something. So it's not just online per se, as with the help of internet, but there are options as well. And then, now, then what happened? The woes came, the woes of the teachers came with this. So, as I told you in the beginning, I do not have much good news, but only highlighting the discompose that we have. So let me highlight, because the disease has to be named, the disease has to be diagnosed. Then only, we can perhaps, fight it or treat it. Like, in the past, when there was a deadly disease, people even did not name it. But without naming, okay, there's no solution. So let's name it. Number one, woe of the teacher is the knowledge and skills of online teaching tools or platforms. Be it synchronous, that is live connection, or asynchronous, that is, a non-real time connection with the students. So in this, I mean, maybe thanks to the Facebooking and Twittering and all this, that people were better familiar with these tools, but most people were not familiar with the online tools for pedagogical reasons. They were mainly familiar for the communication reason, socializing reason. So technical skill is one. The government, the school system, college system, they simply said, they didn't even say. What they did was they actually, I think I cannot answer now. I see some hands going up, raised. I cannot answer now. I would like to go on, but I'll take your question. Please write this, note it. Yes. So now the schools and the community have, without telling you, have expected you to be physically equipped, I mean, to tool-wise, and then skill-wise equipped, and you are ready, okay? So far, until March, nobody thought whether you know technology or not, whether you own a laptop or not, nobody bothered. But all of a sudden now, oh, well, let's go online. And what we did, most of us, is we just went into the current of the flood, and then we are acting to, swim. Some of us are really swimming, but others are simply acting. Then what other word do we have is, we don't know what material online is of good quality or not good quality until we get used to it. Sometimes we might end up using certain person's blog, and sometimes we might be just borrowing things from .coms. .coms are sometimes not the right sources. And then we end up, using the resource that somebody put online without actually citing the original source. So, and the quality matching our level, matching our curriculum, that's another thing. And then time management, I think that's what many of you said. So time management, like, the demarcation between home and work is blurred. There's nothing. And then time, when your office starts and when your office ends, nobody knows. All the time you are online. You're trying to prove it, And then, next is time-consuming resources. You try to develop resources, or you try to, adapt resources from internet. You think that it's easy, it's quick, I'll just download and use it. But because you want to decide the quality of these resources, then what you do is you spend too much time on it. Finally, you decide you didn't find it, or it doesn't work. It's too difficult. It's too easy. I don't know how to use it. So these kind of things. So this is another word that they just are facing now. And then deadlines. Who gives you deadlines? First deadline you give yourself. I'll do it by then, okay? Deadlines. And second, the school gives you a deadline. Do this by this day, okay? And then another deadline is, you may have promised to send an article, a write-up to an online journal, and they send you a deadline. And your friend called you and said, "Sir, oh, madam, can you send this? I don't have." Okay, can I send it to you tomorrow? And then tomorrow passes and you haven't sent it. So, this deadlines is ruling our life, daily hour, day, not just days, but hours. And then, next is, because we have deadlines, there is urgency, and because there is urgency, you end up multitasking. You try to do many things at the same time, then you become a sort of juggler, like somebody who plays with, say, 3 or more hats at the same time. So you're trying to respond to a telephone call from your old friend from somewhere, or maybe your near relative, or maybe somebody in your toll is ill, but there is no vehicle to take them to the hospital, or there's someone asking you something on the chat box, and then, okay, you feel pressure to go to toilet, many things at the same time, So multitasking has been, a rule of the time, amidst the urgency. Everything is urgent. Everything has to happen now, okay? So that's what we've been facing. Now, let's go further with the teachers' woes. This is what I have. I do. I set certain activities, online activities, and I forget them. Sometimes I forget the activity that I set students, and I forget to ask them whether you've done until, or if I do not have any particular reminder or something on the LMS, the learning management system, the Moodle I have, or I forget it myself. I sign up, and then after some days, then I receive an email from that online course saying, okay, you have missed this deadline, we still have another deadline. Okay, all right, thank you very much. And then I sign out because I don't have time. So this is another problem that we are undergoing. And then I already said urgency, deadline, and all this, but volume of work is very, very pressing, so much work, because we were going to the school or college physically and doing things there, and come home perhaps less. I mean, teachers always bring homework to home, but there was some physical reason not to bring too much work. But now the volume is too much, okay? The assignment is to submit, and then the managerial task the organization, your school and college asks you to do. And next is working from home. As I said, working from home is fine, but working from home is also, one is the privacy, another is, the demarcation, as I said, for work and home together, is this not healthy? Because work has to be at work, and then home has to be at home. But what we're doing is we're putting things together, we're mixing up things. And then, because I sit like this, and if I remember, I might straighten up, but then because I've been sitting here for many days, I think more than 2 months now, my shoulders feel frozen. So I have to do some yoga practice or, all that. But if I don't do, then, I feel here. I think I'm ill. I'm not ill. It is my habit that is making this, creating this situation. And then this is interesting. On the one hand, I have so many people to talk to online, but when I switch off the screen, I'm just myself. Then what was that? Illusion? Illusion? Mentally, I think that I have so many connections and so many people who write to me, who call me, and then I also do the same thing. But when this device is switched off, then, I'm just by myself. So this, feeling of isolation is there. That bothers me a lot. And then, next is, there's another set of this. And here, I have no list of woes like that, but I have the questions, I guess all of you ask these questions. How much time will it take to run this activity, to set this task, to do this test? Or how long time will it take for me to design this? You ask this question. And then you also ask the question, how to create teacher presence. Means, I've seen that to minimize the traffic in the platform, we try to hide the video. When we hide the video, then we are cutting the teacher presence by 50%, because students seeing you right in front of you is your presence being felt. And this, but when you are not using this real-time platform to teach, if you're using other platforms or sending emails and things, then your presence is very, very minimal. And when your presence is very, very minimal, then you don't know what they're doing, whether they will come back, whether they will do this or not. So your presence is at question. And then next is you were fine, taking a handwritten page or pages, and then you would read and then mark there, and you would add it up later. That's fine. But now, how do you measure learning outcomes? How much they have learned? How do I know? I mean, just something that they send me by email or by or on my LMS. So is how? There's just a question, unless you have learned how to assess in online environments. And then next is, if you really have a proper course online, how to make it accessible. Means, like when students come, they should know what is waiting for them to access or complete or not. So how to make it? Now, the accessibility mainly depends upon the LMS that you're using or any platform that you're using, but it also depends upon how you have customized it. And if you have not customized well, then okay, the course will not be accessible. And you find something. Will it work? How to know? How to know Zoom works? How to know Google Doc works? How to know Google Forms work? How to know this Padlet works? How do they work? When you watch someone working with this, you feel, wow, that's so simple. But now when you start doing it, it's not that simple. It's different. And then next is, because you have so many questions, the last question, or maybe the first question, or intermittent question would be how to get support. Ask yourself how to get support. Support from my technician, support from my colleagues, support from my students, support from my organization, my head teacher, dean, how to get support, okay? Maybe how to get support from colleagues from across the border, okay, overseas. So how to get support? Another question that you have been asking. So these are the questions and the woes that you had, that you saw earlier. Now let me move on. But the other set of woes are not perhaps from you, with you, but they ultimately come to you. Okay, so let me show you. The woes of the students. Okay, what problems that they have that bother you, that you need to address. Okay, because when students are in trouble, when students have woes, then ultimately it affects the quality of learning that happens. And it's because you are teaching, then you, okay, you feel that. Yes, how will the teacher keep my attendance? So that's interesting, because students are used to going to the school and college and and being called out by the roll or the name, and then saying yes ma'am or yes sir, and they will just write P or tick or something there, or at least they will see. But now they don't see me, and then there's so many students, and my video is not on. Will they know? And how will they count? How many classes should I do it? Yesterday there was power cut, I missed my class. Will that be counted as absence? Okay, so this, how will the teacher keep my attendance? How will they keep that? Okay, that's another thing. And next thing is, it's maybe a slightly older lot of students here. Is this learning equal to learning in the class? Means, in the beginning, for a week or so, even my students in Kathmandu University were thinking, this is just here. This is just, engaging us. This is not real teaching. One day the university will open, we'll go there, we'll do the. So they did not come to the class, some of them. And then I said, this is graded, this is valid, and this is administratively, mandated. So you please come, okay? Otherwise, I'll have to mark you absent. Then slowly they started coming, and I tried to engage them with tasks and presentations by grouping them, okay? Maybe following them up. That's what I did. So here, so this is another question that students have. And the same question, but in a real way, is a real teaching. I mean, like, the teacher used to come to the class with the book and the other things, would write in the class, would explain things, and some students would not understand, and he would or she would, repeat, or even today's lesson plan would go to next day, fine. But now the teacher shows a video or sends some text to read and answer the questions and no explanation. The teacher is missing. Is this real teaching? Is a question that students are asking. And then next is, now, because there is a question, doubt, suspicion about attendance, about teaching learning process, about the validity of the teaching and learning. Now, how will I be assessed? How do I write down? Okay, I mean, what if the power goes? Is there any alternative? Okay, I'm not good at typing. So there are many questions the students ask. They might tell you, they might not tell you, okay? And now the words from the students. They want you to tell them, or they actually bring it as a attention to you, okay? What technology? Which platform? Which device? Sometimes I'm giving my session and I want everyone to say something, and someone writes, sir, I'm working from a mobile, and then my device doesn't support audio, so I can only type. And when I say, then type answer to this, and they will say, no, I cannot type too much, just one word or two. So interesting, so this what technology is there. But are you in position to advise others about technology? We asked a question in the beginning. And then, next, this is not for school students, but for college students. When you ask them to write, use a reference, and what they say is, sir, I found it in Google. It is so difficult for me to convince my students, or other students, let's say, is Google is not a source of, references. Google is a highway. You walk, you pass through, and then you have another address where the references lie. So saying google.com, I've seen many students, putting this google.com as a source of, picture or any quotation, that's another, illusion that students have. And next is, you set an assignment. Some truly don't understand because you just sent it, and maybe you wrote it quickly, and the instruction is too long, too wordy, or there's something missing maybe. And some of the students do not want to do the work, and then they say, I didn't understand, okay? Now, if somebody doesn't understand, how can they do? You have to take it. So that's a woe the students will bring to you. You should be ready for that. That's why, writing any assignment, setting any assignment with very clear, simple expressions is a must. Otherwise, you will get woes from students. And because we saw so many questions being asked earlier, because remaining home alone, and then teachers sending things here and not having many resources online, or maybe the family has not been able to subscribe to any broadband Wi-Fi connection, then they lose motivation. Okay, they don't see any point. I mean, this machine and then teacher there somewhere in the cloud and telling me this thing, what do I do? Okay, so there's lack of motivation. And then what I already said, assignment clarity. Now there will be other excuses they will bring. Okay, okay, they arrive to the class late, and then I call them, and then, sir, I'm with my child at the hospital. Now there might be a genuine reason, or there may not be. There just be an excuse. How do I know? That's a woe that I have to live with. And because they bring many excuses, now they miss deadlines, and your calendar now doesn't work. So some students have, and there are other types of students, which is different from this. You send an assignment, they sit down and work, they send it, and in next hour they call, sir, I sent my assignment, can you check it and give me feedback? I have my time, okay? I also need time, okay? So they don't see this. That's another lot, I mean, the variety, you know. And then now, so these are the woes that we have to live with. But now, how to face the woes then? So perhaps you might want to have more of this, but I spent much time on diagnosis because treatment may be different, because your woes will not be all of this, one of these, some of these, or maybe something else, which we have written in chat box. You'll share more later, okay? So one way to minimize the woes is start preparation now. But what does preparation mean? Preparation means learning technology, collecting resources, deciding the quality, deciding it works, getting this ready. So we don't need to panic, because I said earlier that there is urgency, there is too big a volume of work, and there are deadlines that you have to maintain. If the deadline is only your deadline, you might push it, but if it is from your head teacher, then you'll be done for. So start now. Next is, if you have never taught online before, my suggestion is don't use those Moodle type of things or Google Class type of things. Just use your this kind of thing that I'm using, okay? Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Team, big blue button, you know, anything, or even Facebook Messenger if that works, you know, any kind of video conferencing tools, please use them, because that's how you can sort of, you know, minimize your regret for not being in physical class. Now, connecting to the first, you know, way to face the woes here, again, repeating is, sorry, don't let technology stand in the way of learning. Means you need technology, you use technology, but if something demands very complicated technology, like video editing, don't go for it. Go for a text, go for audio, okay? Simple. I mean, don't give technology, you know, higher grade, higher presence than, you know, the content that students have to learn, content that you have to deliver. So so technology is not greater than life, remember, but it is a tool, it's a medium. We need it now because we can't go out. And because technology helps you to structure things, you also need to structure your lessons. How to structure is standardize, means make some standards. For example, if you're teaching a lesson, reading lesson, how many words in the text, or how many paragraphs, or how long text that you want to do in one session. You make it a standard. Or you make a standard that in one lesson, they will be doing one reading, one writing, one grammar. Or you make a standard, will be here for 1 hour and not less, not more. Or make a standard of the kind of tasks that you write technically. So make a standard. And to maintain the standard, make a template. Like you can make a template in a Word file, and next time you make something, then you just change the text, but you don't change the format. So you save time. Template, and systematize is put them into folder, put them into certain sections in the online or in the offline places, spaces, and then you can retrieve them as and when required. You can see that people who are using computer more than before, they might be crowding the desktop, putting this thing here and then forgetting it and trying to download the same thing again. Okay, that's something many college students do, university teachers do. They download, and then because it is in a hurry, they put them somewhere. Next time they need it, now they call a friend. Sir, I need that book. Can you tell me where it is, which site? It is right there in the desktop, but in certain folder, in a wrong folder. Okay, so systematize everything. And then don't do this by yourself. Talk to your head teacher, make everything institutional. It must be mandated, so everybody does the same thing. But if you're doing too much use of technology, if others don't do, then students either take it negatively or too positively, or just by yourself, it doesn't work, it doesn't help. So make it a collective effort here, collective initiative. And then next is build a community through your networking. Here in the beginning, maybe you may not say a community, you may just say make a friend with a colleague about online teaching learning, or make a group of your subject teachers. Okay, then what happens when you have any problem, any issue, then you're going to find a solution there. Okay, and then use chats, discussion boards, or cloud tools for collaboration. When you have a community, you can use maybe Viber chat group, or WhatsApp chat group, or Facebook chat group. You can make a community with your students. You can make a community with your colleagues or other colleagues elsewhere, or maybe you can have a discussion board somewhere. There are many places where you can work on this. So that helps. And if you're working on the video conferencing tool like I'm doing now, show your face and let your students hear your voice more often, so they sort of develop a good rapport, good close bonding to you, than a sort of machine sort of thing who doesn't appear, who is not heard on the voice. So that's one solution that you can do, means being heard and being seen. And you need to check in with the students, or you need to have students check in with you, but make a schedule. Like when can they write you? When can they call you? When can they expect you in the chat box? So make sort of schedule, or give them a window. 9 to 10, I'm available. Be available. Okay. Then yes, and then next is this. Some students will be disengaged. Then what you do is you need to pay attention, because they might get completely lost. Okay, So this connection, this bonding, keeping them on this stage is very, very important. And finally, I repeat what I have been saying, maintain your well-being, okay? I think this should be 3, sorry, okay. Sorry, let me, I'll come back quickly. Yes, well, this is 3, okay. Okay, just a minute. So meeting, screen share. Where am I? I think here. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, yes, maintain your well-being. So when you are sitting, the posture that I have now, you need to change your posture, you need to stretch, you need to go out, you do something else so that your body comes to your normal shape. And every day maintain your physique by doing exercises. You can do proper yoga or a mix of yoga and physical, all the physical exercises and some meditations. You maintain your this thing. And please take off hours. I mean, it takes off hours and then switch off after 9 p.m. Don't respond, don't do anything because you need your body, you need your mind, you need yourself. And maintain work-life balance means you need to have certain time, certain window for your family, for yourself, so that you will have enough energy to contribute to the teaching learning process when you come online. So these are my references. Now I would like to, stop here the screen sharing, and I would like to invite all of you to say one thing that you do to face your woes, to maintain your well-being, or to manage. I mean, what have you been doing? Can you write one thing that you do to save you from collapsing, from saturation, from the kind of burnout that you might develop? You do meditation, doing yoga. So not just these well-being things, but other things. Okay, might be come to normalcy. Yes. When things will come to normal, then we'll go back. So that will be fine. But now, yes, you dance with the family, fine. Playing with the kids, make table and routine. Yes, okay. Listening to music. What about the materials that you collect? How do you collect? Because you were not ready with them before, and online materials were not designed for your lesson plan. So how to do that? Not maintaining. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. Yes. Maybe it's yes. Okay. Okay. Reading books and all. All right. I think our planned time is over. I talked a little bit because I'm really spirited with this. So maybe Durga or Dian. So I think we are done with the time. So is that okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, dear friends, if you have any queries, please you can ask now.
Yes, we'll stay maximum 5 minutes. Okay.
Yes, for 5 minutes.
Yes. Or maybe we could invite someone to talk, say something orally. Okay,
Yes.
surfing internet. Yes.
Okay.
I think there are many things that I can see people have written. So I think let's do this much. So let's just stop here. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Mentimeter, Kahoot, quizzes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for participation and listening to me. And I hope that you will be able to articulate your woes to your colleagues and family members and others. Don't keep them. They become bubbles in your mind and they will explode one day. Don't let them be in your mind. Just share them. Don't teach. Take some extra day off. That's healthy than keeping everything and acting or faking that you're doing something good. Okay, thank you so much.